Hey, folks, welcome to the pre-show for the Intrepid radio broadcast, coming to you live in just about 3 minutes. We're just getting set up. It's always good to do that live, so we make sure everything's going well. Anita Palmer, good to see you over there in the chat room. Yes, Field Guy, this is a rerun. It'll be playing the same commercials and everything. Okay, what's going on with the beeping on my Midjourney, my Discord? Oh, there we go. Our web guy. Starting my live radio broadcast. Back in a while. All right. Let's make sure that that's so. Okay, everything's good. How's everybody tonight? Josh Kemp, good to see you. Matthew Sainsbury, welcome. So good to see everyone. Happy birthday in a few hours, Matthew Sainsbury. How old are you going to be? You're not a woman, so it's not impolite to ask. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left before we go live on the radio. So everybody, get your butts ready. Hey, Paige Rockwell's soiree. Carlene Smith is here. Good to see you. All right. I had to attach a new sensor to my arm for my blood meter, and so hopefully that won't go off while we're broadcasting tonight. So it's cold here right now. Getting slightly warmer through the week, though. 55 to 60 by... No, it's not going to get out of the 50s this week. Out of the low 50s. All right, we got to go dark. Stand by. We'll be right back.
The Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, folks. Happy Monday evening. Welcome to the broadcast. I am your host, Scotty Roberts, and this is my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on Subspace Odyssey Radio. You can hear us over at odysseyradio.com. That's ODYSY radio.com. You can hear us at subspace.radio. You can go over to, and that's audio format only. It's radio. And then you can go over to my Facebook channel and the Intrepid Radio Facebook channel and the Subspace Radio channel, the Odyssey Radio channel. You can find all these places, the video simulcast of this show. And, of course, the primary place for the video simulcast is my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so you can get announcements for this show. And also hit the join button. You can see ways that you can help this broadcast maintain life. And so we want to thank you all for being here. Thanks for giving me your time. And happiness. We've talked about happiness before. And we've talked about the things that bring happiness, the things that create happiness. It's like the old cartoon. Not even all that old, the little stick figure cartoon. And it showed two little stick figures. One of them had a big smile. He's holding a jar. and on it is the label happiness. And the other stick figure has got a frown, and he said, "Oh," he says, "where'd you find that? I've been looking for that my entire life." And the stick figure with the jar that said happiness on it says, "Well, I just made it myself." So happiness is a thing we've talked about before. We've had some people in the chat room and some very faithful listeners to this show who have disputed the concept of happiness, that we can't really have happiness, that it's not something, that it's more a concept than it is anything else. It's an outcome as opposed to a thing. And so we might explore a little bit of that tonight as we're going on. But before we get into this, I do want to reintroduce you to our little website that is going to go live sometime this week. We've had a couple of, not setbacks, just a couple of push-outs from the original launch date. It's been about 2 weeks since we were going to launch it. We had to do some other things. We had other people become involved and different things. And we were working on the website. The website is now complete. All that's missing is just the one key factor. There's a vendor that's got to get us pricing that will also be managing all the orders and things like that. And it's got to be plugged into the website. And so they were finalizing some things with that. And so that's coming up. But I did want to share with you, for those of you, I know, Anita, I talked to you today. You couldn't get that to come up. I put a post up because I can see the website. I didn't think about the possibility that people couldn't get a sneak peek of it. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek for the next couple of minutes so you can see what this is all about. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it as well as we're going on. So I've been involved in my lifetime in the pursuit of happiness. And by the way, this is probably a good rabbit trail right there. Remember, our Constitution tells us that we can pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you notice it doesn't say the guarantee of happiness. It doesn't say you will find happiness. It doesn't say this Constitution or this country will guarantee you life and liberty and happiness. It said the pursuit of happiness. So happiness is something we're constantly pursuing. And that's what I want to kind of hit on tonight, is how to do that the right way. But in all of this, I've constantly pursued happiness. And what I, as a guy, have linked to my happiness is success. You try to be successful, you try to accomplish things. You want to accomplish. And as a guy, I have different things that would be different for me than for a woman. We could say as a man or a woman. Men have certain things that bring us our, if you will, the old should be retired and maybe new ways to think of things, but the old self-esteem issue. Men draw theirs from accomplishments, from tasks being sought out and tasks being fulfilled. Women, on the other hand, draw their self-esteem from the people around them, their husbands, their families, their significant others, the people that they meet at their jobs. Guys tend to be less about the relationship and more about the thing itself. Now, I'm speaking in gross generalities. This is just the way we're wired. So men were the hunters and gatherers. They were the ones providing, and they found all kinds of new ways as evolution carried on how to accomplish that for their spouses, for their families, and for everybody around them. While women worked very hard to try to be... What do you need? I'm on the radio. I love you too. Good night. Say good night to everybody.
Good night.
There's Ellery. Bye. I love you. I'll see you later. All right. She missed the first 3-minute setup, which is when they're allowed to come in. So she just wanted to come down and say goodnight. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, the pursuit, men and women, the differences between men and women, all of that to say, I've spent a bulk of my life pursuing the things that will make me happy. And what will make me happy? If I make my wife happy, I'm happy. If I make my kids happy, I'm happy. What causes me a lot of that unhappiness is when I can't do those things for my wife and kids, or when I've struggled to do them, struggled to find them. And so this is another effort. Over the last 30 years, I've tried at least a dozen different things where we've tried to make things go. I was just thinking about this yesterday. Back, it would have been in the early 90s when my daughters were little babies, my twin daughters were infants. And I was working with a buddy of mine to build a comic book publishing company. And we called it Bent Nail Press. And there was a story behind Bent Nail. It was a place at the church camp where we attended all through our youth. There was one of the geographic locations there was called Bent Nail. And so we grabbed that name and we worked very hard to get that off the ground. Didn't get off the ground. We had lots of close brushes, and then we had lots of people that wanted to do things for us as long as, they got to pretty much own the company. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. I've tried other things. I don't know. Some of you may know this. Some of you may not. Just before I met Rainey's, so in the early 2000s, I had a project going, a business I had started called Project 1599. Project 1599. And that was my effort to be able to build a full-scale historical replica of Shakespeare's 1599 Globe Theater. And we were looking at several different locations. We actually had one of the cities in the northern tier of the outskirts of the Twin Cities here in Minnesota that was offering us land for that, and was they had me to a city planning meeting to look at the possibility of building new roads and exits for this theater. And along with the theater, we were also developing, like the Renaissance festivals you've seen, the Sterling Renaissance Fair was to go right alongside the Shakespeare's Globe Theater. So we went into that effort. We really dug deep on that one. We even had some people that were looking at buying the Minnesota Renaissance Festival that had talked to me about coming in with them, and I would build the globe out at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. And so we looked into all these possibilities. That one got very far, and it was a very big project, but it didn't go anywhere. It eventually just did not happen for various reasons. So we looked into that. We've had all kinds of projects like that along the way. Big ones, small ones, efforts to try to augment income, efforts to try to create a business that would carry us all, my whole family, into working a business. And ad agency business, graphic design business, illustration business, all of those things. All that to say that as a guy, I kept trying these various different efforts. And some of them flopped in a very glorious way, meaning they were big and they were well received, but it just didn't go. Then there was the small things that were just poofs, in the dark, and they didn't quite make it. Well, all of that to give you a little background for, and you know what I did while I was doing it? This was all, for me, the pursuit of happiness. And perhaps wrongheadedly, there was part of me that said, as I'm doing these things, when I achieve this, I will achieve the happiness I seek. And nothing could be further from the truth. I could achieve success, but would that really build happiness for me? The way we define happiness. So I wanted to continue doing what I was doing, and still had 100 different ideas to do things, to build things. Everything from, as small as writing books to as, like I showed you the sword and the clay the other day, as small as writing a book like this and illustrating it. That was an effort like that. As grandiose as the Globe Theater. All of those were efforts. Well, a few months ago, Friend of mine in radio, Matt Locke, conservative talk radio host with quite the large audience out there. I had done some work for him, and he approached me and said, "Hey, let's do these shirt designs, and maybe we can get something going and do something." So we did it, but as almost right away, this thing started morphing into something that could have gone way out of control, meaning in the positive way. And all the feedback we were getting along the way was, "You guys, this is better than anything we've seen out there." This is from people in the know, people attached to big conservative organizations. And of course, it was all housed around conservative propaganda. That's what we named the company. Patriot Propaganda is the name of the company. Patriot Propaganda Apparel. So I'm going to show you that just to give you an idea of one shot at trying to make something work that is an attempt underneath it all to do something good and worthwhile that we believe in, while at the same time hoping to build a foundation for something that creates an atmosphere for happiness to grow. I can tell you, one of the thieves of happiness is discontentedness. Another one is lack of income in the society we live in, revenue stream. If you're a family and you're poor, you can have happinesses, but I can tell you one thing. While money doesn't buy happiness is a phrase that's misquoted, the love of money doesn't buy happiness. Money can buy a hell of a lot of happiness, temporal happiness. And the converse is certainly true too. And I've said this before. The lack of money, the lack of being able to sustain your family, the lack of being able to put good food on the table, the lack of being able to keep the lights on, the lack of being able to keep a roof over your head, the lack of being able to fix a car that's already 17 years old and breaks down on you. All those lacks of LACKS of funds can create an awful lot of unhappiness. So you have to find your happiness in different ways. So as a guy, I work on those things to try to create an atmosphere in my home that will be the thing that will help foster and create our happiness. It's not all about the money. It's all about the lack of money. That is the driving force. And so that's why I bring this thing up. This thing that we're doing, it's not just another little shot in the dark. This thing is something that has grown already kind of big beyond its boundaries. And that's why we're encouraged by it. The response we're getting out there, and it's not just response from, "Hey, I went to my barber and showed him this shirt design. He thought that was fantastic." That's encouraging, yes. But that's not what I'm talking about. We had a lot of highly placed people in very high positions in movements and organizations that have looked at what we do and said, "That looks amazing." And we've had some people come along and say, "I've made my millions off of this kind of work in this kind of genre." He said, "I've never seen anything look as good as this." And we've even had, I think I mentioned, we even had the Attorney General of the state of Texas call my partners and ask if we would do a shirt of him as a superhero, because that's one of the things we did here. So I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to share my screen with you. And let's see, let's go to a certain thing, this right here. So Anita Palmer, and those of you who have tried to get there and you're running into an issue, being able to see it here. Let me take off my brand, which is over here somewhere, right there. Take that off so you can see this better. I'm going to go over here and reload this page so you can see it as it would look. So you go to patriotpropaganda.com. It comes up like this, and you can see some of the graphics that I had put up today right here. These are a bunch of the shirt designs. All of these are shirt designs I've made for this company. That's my function in this company with my two partners. They're handling all the business end and the IT end while I do all the design and the creative. And so this is what these look like. Now, when I mentioned the superheroes, I'm going to go right to that so I can show you what that is. Some of you have seen this. We took one of the things that came up early is Team Ron or Team Don. And so we did a shirt of Trump, and we did a shirt of Ron DeSantis as comic book character heroes. So here, I'll blow this up. It's a little just tilted because it's you're seeing it at an angle on the shirt. But there's the Donald Trump shirt, which, by the way, may I say that people that are, I'll put it this way, people that are close to the Trump organization saw these and went nuts over them. So we got this one. And if I go back, I'm just showing some things off. We've got the DeSantis shirt that looks like this. Here, and I'll blow this one up. There you go. That, again, is at an angle as well, and curves on the body can kind of distort the image a bit. But there's Ron DeSantis as his version of a superhero. And so those are our superhero shirts. Oops, I did not mean to shut that down. I'm going to re-up that and just take in a very quick couple of minute walk around there. And let me reconnect it over here so you can see it. I'm sharing my screen. Boom, Patriot Propaganda. There it is. So Patriot Propaganda Apparel. That is our company. And that's the post I put up. Those you couldn't make it. This is what the site looks like when you go there on the home page. This is what you see. And these four main links at the top are the different shirts we have. And I've shown some of these off before. We got the God and Country shirt, which looks like this. And I've shown you some of these before. There it is. The God and Country shirt. And it comes in, tank tops, hoodies, shirts, fitted women's shirts, things like that. Then we have the A Heart to Serve. That is the Diplomacy Through Supremacy. And that shirt looks like this. Well, here's one of the hoodies. And it's got that old World War II look to it. Diplomacy Through Supremacy. And these are truth bombs. And they've all got articles from the Constitution written on them and so on. And then we've got the next one is Audit the Fed, which we designed this prior to the banking crisis being a well-known thing. And so here is this. Audit the Fed. Looks like this. Wall Street and the bankers being chased by angry Americans. Audit the Fed. There's the Federal Reserve on the right. So that gives you an idea what everything looks like there. And then finally, and on this page, this got tucked here for some reason. We've got these shirts. These are cool. This is the Trump fingerprint shirt, we're calling it. This was when he was indicted. And so we put Donald Trump's signature on it, and the sheet behind it is the form for filling out fingerprints when you're indicted and arrested. And so we've got the Trump fingerprint on there. So hopefully that will be a popular item. And then, of course, this is the Wall Street one again. So the women's fitted shirts. And then we go to the final one up here. Well, the superheroes. There, we did them all. So that gives you an idea. So those of you who could not get to the site, it's because it's password protected now until the actual launch. We're just waiting on certain financial aspects to be plugged into this site. So it works for us. And everybody can get their stuff. And we talk about our values, why we believe what we do. It's a veteran-owned, each one of us. We've got veterans in our ownership. I'm a third partner in this. And so there it is. There it is, folks. That's all it is. So I'm going to get out of here. We'll stop my screen. So there you go. There's a long-ish ad for patriot propaganda. And so that's what that's all about, if you saw my post today. And so hopefully in the next couple of days, we're going to see that launched in full-fledged. So, and since that's my thing, I wanted to make a big effort of trying to get this shown to you, so you can see what it was all about. So hopefully, knock on wood, all our fingers crossed, our toes crossed, this will go as well as people have predicted in the know. So that's our big baby. That we've been working on this for about 4 months, 3-4 months. So let's move on. But that's one of those things when I'm talking about tonight happiness and the pursuit of happiness and the things that we want to try to make us happy. For guys, that's one of my things. It makes me happy to do the art. I love that. I crave that. It makes me feel good. It will make me feel even better if it benefits my family in a good way. And also if it gets a good message out there and we're preaching what we believe. So there you go. So what about this whole thing? Excuse me, a little cloudy voice tonight. This whole thing of happiness. There's something that I've quoted many times before on this show. And it's, if you can see it, guys, it's that. I'm going to tip this up. That picture up there, that picture that my daughter Bryn drew, that's pencil. And that's Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers, I think it is. Toward the end of the Two Towers. And there's a quote in there that I thought of as I was looking up information and formulating what I was going to say tonight about happiness. And here is that quote. It's from that scene right in there. He says, Frodo says, "I can't do this, Sam." Remember, he's carrying this ring, this mystical thing. And Sam says, "I know it's all wrong." He says, "By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going because they were holding on to something." Frodo replies, almost in despair. He says, "What are we holding on to, Sam?" Sam says that there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. That's by J.R.R. Tolkien. So, happiness. How do you go back to happiness? He asks. At the end of the third movie, how can you go back when so much bad has happened? He said, how can you be happy again? How do you find happiness? And so what I wanted to do tonight was hit it from that aspect, that there are 10 really simple ways to find happiness. And there's lists galore out there. This one's from a more psychological vantage point. And so I wanted to give you this little list, that there's 10 simple ways to find happiness. And happiness and emotional fulfillment is something that's in all of our grasps. Now, let me be a little challenging here. I would dare say that everybody that's listening to this show tonight, either by radio or listening on the live stream or in the chat room, that every one of us have things that have stolen our happiness, or that we've allowed to steal what we believed was our happiness. Things that have happened that leave us shaking our head and going, how can the world be a happy place? How can my life be happy when so much bad has happened? Why do you think I'm led to think of Teresa St. Francis's book, Psychic Friend of Mine? I've mentioned her book where she was disturbed from her sleep every night for weeks and months by the spirits of kids, teenagers, young people who had committed suicide. And she believed that it was her angels, her guides that were leading these kids to her. And it was these spirits that really pushed her to write her book called, I think it's called, and I always mix up the title, What Happens the Day After Tomorrow, or What Happens Tomorrow, type of thing. And she gave the stories without giving names. She knew who these people were. Some of them she had counseled their parents, and these kids would come to her and give her their stories and about what they're experiencing in the afterlife, having committed suicide because they had lost their happiness. And so I was led to believe to think about that. If you want to look up her book, look up Teresa St. Francis, and you can find her book, The Day After Tomorrow, or What Happens Tomorrow. I think it's the title. I could go look it up, but I don't want to take that time. So happiness and emotional fulfillment are within your grasp, but many of us miss that. Many of us miss the opportunities to find it. Many of us find things that happen to us that steal our happiness. I said, a very dear friend of mine today said, I don't know how he phrased it, but he's an eloquent writer and speaker. And he said his wife's mother had passed away yesterday. And he said, I don't know if he used the word happiness. Maybe I'm putting that there in my memory now because of what I'm talking about. But he said, everything, the light has gone out today. It's not that he and his wife won't be happy people again, but these are the kinds of experiences that we all have that we can allow to steal our joy and our happiness. So there are strategies that help us feel happy, to live a fulfilled life. Feeling unhappy could be a common experience for a lot of us. Many people. Life might be full of ups and downs, and finding a way back to happiness when you're feeling down could be really challenging at times. I've been there. I tend to be a positive person. I've become more cynical in my old age, but I think I'm still fairly happy and positive about things. And there's strategies that you can incorporate to help you get through things. So, because we all want to feel happy, and each of us has different ways of getting there. And I've got 10 steps here, which I think we'll be able to get through the 10 steps. They're pretty easy. And you'll see how ridiculously simple these things are for achieving happiness. Increasing that joie de vivre in our lives, the more happiness into our lives. And we all have these challenging moments, these things we go through. Happiness depends on who and where you are. Finding happiness. I had the title for tonight's show, The Quest for Happiness, because we're all on that quest to find something that makes us happy. But isn't that quest, like John Lennon said before he was murdered, obviously? He said, life is that thing that passes you by while you're waiting for it to happen. Or while you're working really hard to make it happen, it passes you by. And it's one of those things that, if we're not careful, we'll get to the end of our days and realized all our striving was to find something that we can create that's probably right in our laps already. Finding happiness is an individual process. It's not one size fits all. What makes me happy might not make you happy. You might need fuzzy bunnies might make you happy. I got this guy sitting right here. That's what made me think of saying that. I got this guy. This is from when I did this book back in 2008. We went to the Renaissance Festival, and I was able to present this book and did some stage show stuff with it. And this little guy right here, my daughters and Rainey and Sam, back in 2008, we all sat around the dining room table and made up about 600 of these. It's just a big stick, and it's got a bunny rabbit. We made him in green because he's an Irish rabbit in the book. We took these long, flat toothpicks and made swords and put the little cotton ball on his tail. And this was the bunny rabbits with swords. And so all the kids that came to the shows and watched the little stage show where I did a reading from the book, and Uncle Dave, we've talked about this before, did one of the sword fights from the book with another friend of mine. And we made it very friendly for kids on the stage, and they all got one of these. And so we saw hundreds of these walking around the festival grounds, and kids took them home. Maybe that's where you get your happiness. Maybe if you're 4 to 8 years old, this makes you happy. And my happiness would be made of different things. Your happiness might be something different too. So we've all got those things that make us happy. So we have to keep in mind that basic domains of happiness, like work and love, those are the things that help orient us in finding our way. Happiness is a lagging indicator. The pieces might fall into place before you realize what the pattern even is. It's like building a puzzle of blue sky and clouds. And you got 500 pieces to put in there, and they all look the same. Happiness is a state of mind. It's a contentment. Here it is. Happiness is a contentment that comes through making the most of your good choices. I had this talk with my son, Flynn, earlier today. And Rainey hollered down at me. I could hear banging around upstairs. And this was just a few hours ago. And you need to come up and talk to your son. And I said, okay. So I came up and go, what's going on? And I was pretty sure he got asked to do something. He's a Boy Scout. He didn't want to go to Scouts tonight. He wanted to stay home and play video games. I said, no, you're going to Scouts and not playing video games tonight. And then she said, okay, fine, you can stay home from Scouts, but you gotta do your chores. And he got really pissed off. He slammed the door and he threw things around, which is his modus operandi. And so I came up and I said, son, what gives? What are you doing? And we've had this conversation before. And I said, why don't you do what makes you happy tonight? You want to go to Scouts? Go to Scouts. If you don't, you got to do dishes. But those are your two choices. No, those aren't my only choices. I said, yeah, frankly, son, they are. There's the hard fact of it. And I got him talked down from the ledge. He's all pissy. And I said, look, son, this is where character comes in. I said, sometimes, you know what makes you happy? It's doing sometimes the things you don't want to do. I said, do you think when I wash the dishes, I just can't wait to do the dishes today? No. I said, I don't like doing dishes either. I said, what I like and what I love is the outcome of having done the dishes. I like a clean kitchen. I like to know I have clean plates and cups and the forks. And I said, I already did half the dishes today anyway. Cleaning stuff because I was looking for clean dishes because he didn't do his chores. Rainey and I have a policy right now. It's the two older kids, their responsibility to do dishes. We leave them. We'll let them go for 3 days. We'll wash our own plate, our own bowl, our own cup, our own fork. We'll eat off them, then we'll wash them. We'll put them in the cabinet. Well, you know what the kids do? They take the plates that we washed instead of washing their own stuff. So we made a new law. You can't do that. But anyway, by the time with Flynn, I got to the point with this. I said, look, Flynn, I said, right now I'm working an extra job at the gas station. More than a gas station. It's a mini mart. Quick Trip, it's called here. And it's a really nice place and run very well. Great corporation. And I said, do you think after my being 40 years in advertising and a creative and living off my artwork, I said, do you think that I pushed my entire life to when I turned 62 to say, I can go get a job for $18.50 at the Quick Trip? I said, do you think that's what I wanted to do? I said, when my time bills out, for almost $100 an hour when I'm doing design, I said, I'm doing it because the design work has not gone downhill. It just it's waned. Beside the point. I said, do you think I can't wait to get up in the morning and put on my little uniform of black pants and a steel powdery blue shirt with the Quick Trip on the tit and a nice black sweater? At least, you can look good. And I said, do you think I like doing that? He hates doing dishes. I don't want to do the dishes because I don't like doing them, he says. So do you think I like going to work at punching somebody else's clock at a gas station marketplace for whatever, 30 hours a week, 25 hours a week? I said, no. I said, I don't like it. I said, frankly, son, I actually hate it. I don't like it. It is antithetical to my entire life. I said, but you know what? I show up every day. And every day I'm scheduled. I said, I show up and I have things we've talked about on this show before. I said, that philosophy of being there. I'm there. I said, making somebody else's day. Bringing my own chosen attitude. And then making my day as a result. I got in there this morning and, you know me. I was talking with Uncle Dave about this on the radio on Sunday. Is that the things I learned at the Renaissance Festival, I've carried over into being a cashier and a stocker and all that. Stocker, not Alker. Stocking of goods. I go into that gas station market and I go, good morning, everyone. And probably someone going, who? Fuck you. But I don't get that response because I have an attitude and I have a purpose-driven life and I have a being there presence. When people, I saw a couple of high school guys on the weekend that were checking people on. Hi, how you doing? Good morning. Beep, beep. That'll be 5:35, please. And have a nice day. While I'm standing next to them, I saw one of them kind of look at me. I go, somebody comes up to the desk and go, hey, how you doing today? I said, how you doing? Good morning. I said, what do you got there? And let's ring it up. And I chit-chat with him a little bit as I can. And the other day I had a little girl that was with her mom, and she brought up one of those drinks that had whipped cream on the top, and it has the plastic dome on it that's open. I talked about this just yesterday with Dave. It's so fresh in my memory, but this was Saturday. And as I rang it up with the scanner, I set it down and I inadvertently, because there's that big open hole in the top, I shoved my thumb down inside her whipped cream. And the little girl went, and I said, oh man. I said, I just added flavor to your drink, whatever it was. I said, I tell you what though. I said, let me take it. I'll keep it. I said, you go get yourself another one on the house. So I gave him a free drink. Same drink over. So, and I said, you find ways to make people happy and make their day. And I made her day. So this is what I told my son. So happiness is a state of mind. It's not the stuff around you. It's how you react to the stuff around you. So, I want to get to these 10 things, which I haven't even hit yet. It's just kind of giving us a little primer on where I'm going. So, the 10 things, simple things. Number 1, be with other people who make you smile. See how simple that is? Don't be with people who are always, downers. I hate talking to people after a while that every time you talk to them, life is a downer. They're Eeyores. Yeah, the sun is out today, but I'm sure it's going to rain over my head. So be with people who make you smile. What's the old saying? Small minds talk about people, other people. Average minds talk about events. Great minds talk about ideas. Be with people who make you smile. Studies have even shown that we're happiest when we're around those who are also happy. So stick with those who are joyful and let that rub off on you. Or be the joyful person that rubs off on other people. Well, that could come out wrong. You know what I mean? So number 2, hold on to your values. What you find true, what you know is fair, and what you believe in are all your values. And over time, the more you honor your values, the better you're going to feel about yourself and those who love you. So hold on to your values. Don't let those slip. Right now, doing this this conservative t-shirt company that we're doing, garment company, we're holding on to our values. Are we capitalists? Yeah. Hell yeah. Do we want to make money? Hell yeah. We'd like to make millions off of this. Because we're capitalists. We're doing it for the money. But at the same time, we're doing it for supporting the values we believe in that need to get out there. It's a slightly different thing than talking about the people you hang with, but there it is. That's what's out there. I got to move my window over. I moved it when I was sharing my screen and I can't see my clock. There we go. Yeah, we got about 11 minutes left of this particular show. So we'll get through the rest of these easily. So so what was the first one again? Be with others who make you smile. 2, hold on to your values. 3, accept the good. See, I told you these are overly simple. Look at your life. Take stock of what's working. Don't focus on what's not working. We all got shit that doesn't work. Look at what does work. Don't push away something just because it isn't perfect. When good things happen, even the very little ones, let them in. I told Flynn when I was talking to him tonight, I said, Flynn, and I kind of laughed and I said, I hope I'll be around to see it. I said, I could be long dead by the time this happens, but when you have kids someday, and I said, I hope you do, when you have teenagers, I said, I can't wait for you to be able to say to them, I'm making you do the dishes because I don't like them, and I don't care that you don't like doing them because it's your job and your chore, and you're going to give them the same talk, I hope, that I just gave you on character. So accept the good. When good things happen, even the very little ones, let them in, let it work, let it do its thing. And I said, Flynn, this will make character out of you. And I said, you know what? When you do the dishes, I'll come and I'll help you do them. We can sit and hang out, have a good time. You make it a good time. Number 4, imagine the best. It's a simple thing, isn't it? Imagine the best. We could call that visualizing, manifesting something. Imagine the best. Don't be afraid to look at what you really want and see yourself in it and getting it. And many people avoid this process because they don't want to be disappointed if things don't work out. My wife, who has anxiety issues, there are things she says, I don't even want to think about this t-shirt thing. She said, we've been here before, and if I think about it and get my hopes invested in it and it doesn't work out, I'm going to be disappointed. So I'm not going to be happy about it. She's happy for me She wants it to succeed. She's seen all the work we put into it. So many people avoid this process because they don't want to be disappointed if it doesn't work out. Imagine the best. Visualize the best. There's no real magic in that other than the anti-magic of thinking nothing's going to work out, and you make that happen. So the truth is that imagining getting what you want is a big part of achieving it. If you can imagine getting what your desire is, that is more than half of the way to making it a reality. That's the fourth one. So, make it so. Imagine the best. Manifest something. Number 5. It's simple. Do the things you love. So I tell my wife, I said, I love you. So I'm going to do the things I love. But ching. I said, maybe you can't skydive every day of the week or take vacations every season. But as long as you get to do the things you love every once in a while, you're going to find greater happiness. So do the things you love to do. Me, I think one of the stagnant things about Rainey's and my relationship, to be honest, and our family, is that there's so many things we want to do that we haven't done in years. We don't get out on dates very much. We're always busy. And when we're not busy, we don't have funds. I mean, it's always, something always works. It's like when you're waiting to make a turn and there's traffic coming from both sides. Okay, there's only one car left. When he passes, we can turn. And as he gets about right here, 8 cars come from this direction. And you're stuck for the 8 more. That's what it feels like sometimes, the cross traffic. So do the things you love and make the chance to do them. Make it work. I mentioned Carlene's video yesterday of her hiking out in the woods and all the paranormal stuff that went around with it. But doing the things you want to do, the things that you love. Get out and do them. And you know what? Make it happen. 20 years from now, you'll regret more the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So cast off the bow lines. Set your sails to the trade winds. Sail away from the safe harbor. Explore, dream, discover. That's what that's all about. You don't want to get 20 years down the road and say, I didn't do the things I love to do, and I've wasted my life away being sad and unfulfilled and not content. Find the things you love, do the things you love, and build your contentment. I got this jar of happiness. Where'd you get that? Been looking for it my whole life. I made it myself. Number 6, find purpose. Those who believe that they're contributing to the well-being of humanity tend to feel better about their lives. I'm contributing something. I'm doing something good. Most people want to be part of something greater than they are, simply because it's fulfilling. Have you sat back lately? I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 17 or if you're 77. Have you looked back and said, what is my purpose? What are the purpose? That doesn't run out because you get older and stale and stagnant. It's still there. Find your purpose. What are the things that make you want to be greater than you are or be involved in something that's greater than you? That leads to 7. Listen to your heart. You are the only one who knows what fills you up. Your family, your friends might think you'd be great at something. It really doesn't float your boat. So it can be complicated following your bliss, as Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. Just be smart and keep your day job for the time being. Follow your bliss. Do the things you want to do, as long as you're not hurting anybody else in the process. Number 8 of 10, push yourself, not others. Push yourself. It's easy to feel that someone else is responsible for fulfilling your joy and happiness in life and goals. But the reality is that it's only you who's really in charge of it. So once you realize that, you have the power to get where you want to go. Stop blaming other people. Oh, I didn't get there because of this guy, that woman, that whatever, that bitch on wheels. Stop blaming other people. Stop blaming the world for not getting where you want to be. Stop blaming your lack of funds. You're going to find your answers much sooner. Number 9, be open to change. See how simple these are? Be open to change. Even if it doesn't feel good, change is the one thing you can count on. It's going to happen every day. We've all experienced change, either good change or bad change. And when that happens, sometimes it can devastate us. Sometimes it can raise us to the mountain peaks. Count on change. Change is going to happen. So make contingency plans and emotionally shore yourself up for the experience of change. Make change be something that you're prepared for. Then number 10, simply of these rules, bask in the simple pleasures. Those who love you, treasured memories, silly jokes, warm days, starry nights. These are the ties that bind you and the gifts that keep on giving. So happiness and fulfillment are all right there in your grasp. It's sitting on your lap already. And sometimes it just feels like it's just out of reach. But understanding what works best for you is the first step in finding those things more often. That is what I believe happiness is truly all about. That's what makes happiness happen. And the sooner we all get a grasp on that and on these little simple concepts, the sooner we're all going to be finding happiness for ourselves. Don't get so busy that you lose sight of who you are and where you want to be. For those of you on the radio, we got to get out of here. It's that time. It's the end of the show. So all of you, come back to the Captain's Cabin and the YouTube channel and live long and prosper. Sit tight.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Dun, 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 ba-ba-bum, bum, bum. Well, welcome back to the Captain's Cabin, folks. We're not going to do a long Captain's Cabin tonight. I've been saying that more lately because I've got other obligations now these days. By the way, this coming Sunday, there will be no It's Sunday with Scotty and Reddy because I have to go work at the market on Sunday morning. So I will not be here. That does not mean, however, that there might not be a Sunday evening show. We'll see what goes on. We'll see what happens. I may just take the evening off, or I may not. We'll see what happens. And so make your other plans for Sunday morning. And those of you who go listen to other shows anyway, you don't have to worry about coming to this one. So make your plans well. And those of you coming in late, welcome, Susie Q. Good to see you. And glad you can make it in for the second part of the show, the Captain's Cabin. And anybody else who's just coming in, welcome. Those of you who've been here the whole time, thanks for being here. I know I don't do a lot of response to the chat room, just a few here and there during the show. But the Captain's Cabin is when you can come in. And I'm going to put up the link if you want to come in and talk on the link on the show tonight about any of this stuff, about happiness, about pursuing happiness, about manifesting, things like that. All very simple things. There is the link in the chat room. Oh, you got grandbabies. That'll keep you busy, Susie. And I understand that. Would you just get them all to bed, or are they still up? So, and how old are your grandbabies? You say grandbabies. That could mean they're 18, and you could still call them grandbabies. Are they little ones? Or are they big uns? So now I don't have any grandkids yet. Thank goodness. I guess that means I'm not grandpa yet. I'm not old enough to be a grandpa yet because I don't have any. So I think I've met one of your grandkids on the radio show once, a long time ago. 2 down, 2 up. There you go. Yeah, I know how that is. We've got the 8-year-old who's down now. The 11-year-old falls asleep before anybody else. Flynn, my 13-year-old, these are not my grandkids, these are my kids. He'll stay up till 4 in the morning if he wants to. Then he's a bitch to wake up at 7. So I keep telling him, you got to go to bed on time, son. If you want to stay up till all hours, I can just take your stuff away. I said, but I want to trust you to be mature about it, develop a little character, make your choices wisely. I'm trying to teach you how to make a wise choice, not force you into making the wise choice. If I have to force you to make the wise choice, it's not wisdom you're developing. I said, so here is why you need to go to bed on time. But I don't like school. I said, it doesn't matter. So the question has never been posed to one student regarding their going to school. Is, well, do you like to go? If you don't like to, well, you don't have to. It doesn't work that way, son. So 5, 6, 10, 11, and 13. Wow. So you got, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 grandkids. I got 6 kids. 8, 11, 13, 22, and 31. My 2 oldest twins. Anita says, sadly, sometimes your happiness is tied to others. And trying to remain happy around those people can be difficult. I get that. Anita. Let me encourage you to do this. If you invest so much of your happiness into the other people and they create difficulties for you, maybe that's where you just say, look, the difficulties are there. You know what? I am just going to not let that steal my joy. Hard to do when your love is involved, your heartstrings are involved. But isn't that what we all have to do? Sometimes things are difficult. And we got to go with the flow, and to a certain degree. And the other part is we got to do what we got to do to maintain our own sanity, our own happiness, develop our own joy. And you just have to let that stuff go. Easier to say than to do. I get it, especially when the heart stuff is involved, but there it is. Susie Q says JJ's home from South Carolina and says she loves you. Me or the group? Hey, JJ. Good to see you. Hey. And let's see. What did Sarah say? Sounds like lottery numbers. Yeah, it does. So it'd be nice to win the lottery. I could do that. If I won, what would you do if you won $200 million? Or the better part of $1 billion, as we saw it last year a couple of times? I think, Uncle Dave and I were laughing about this the other day, saying, I go, God, you let me win the lottery, I'll create jobs for people. I'll help a lot of people get out of poverty or struggling. I'll do things for people. I'll buy new cars for people and houses and start businesses. We try to justify God giving us the right lottery winnings. So, oh, yes. And I remember Susie Q. JJ, it's just been a while. So, and I talked to 1 million people since I talked to you last. So you have to jog my memory a little bit sometimes. So it's good to see you, JJ. Is Grandma making good cooking today? She cook anything special? Any pies, cookies? Did she can anything? Just curious. I know Susie does a lot of that stuff. Man, Susie, if you live closer, I'd be over all the time, trying to mooch off of your cooking and your canning. Fresh baked bread. Man, wouldn't that be nice? Might need to paint another Sistine Chapel, says Sir. Is that if I win the lottery, I could paint, or I would need to do that to win the lottery? So, yeah, I don't know. Did Michelangelo ever get rich? I think the Pope supported him, obviously, but he was a patron. Did he support him in such a way that he made a lot of money? I'm curious. Hey, I wonder. Hey, Siri, did Michelangelo ever become wealthy?
I found this on the web.
Why was Michelangelo wealthy? Was Michelangelo rich? Are the questions. Florence Journal, the warts on Michelangelo, the man who was a miser. The man was a miser. Those are some of the articles. This article says, question, was Michelangelo rich? Oh, it doesn't want to let me read the answer unless I sign up for study.com. Well, apparently with all these questions asking whether or not he was rich, he probably was. That is stingy a pope, Uncle Dave says. Dave, if you want to call in, we got a few minutes. I'm not going to stay very long because I gotta go to bed. I've been up since like 5 this morning, going all day, and I got to start again like that tomorrow. So I need to get some good sleep. Last night I got great sleep. I got to tell you something. One of the keys to maybe being a little more happy, get some good sleep. I don't sleep well to begin with. I woke up a couple of times last night. But last night, I put on a little white noise. And Rainey doesn't really like white noise. She doesn't like the fan sound. I grew up with a fan. I love a fan in my bedroom. I've hardly used a fan in the last 15 years since I've been married to my beautiful, lovely, luscious, vivacious wife. However, sometimes, you know what I do? She's sleeping. I will turn on YouTube And I will, because she says, I don't want the fan blowing. The fan makes my skin crawl. You know, I feel like the wind on my skin.
Can't sleep without the fan.
And it makes noise. But she'll play night music, night sounds. And now, welcome to Night Sound. Hey, Michael. And over in the chat room. And so I will turn on YouTube. Did you know you can find fan white noise on YouTube? Box fan, white noise, round fan, oscillating fan, power fans,
Just buy a
industrial
fan.
factory fans.
I don't play it for the noise.
Some of those you turn on and it's like zzz. And I went through about 20 of them the other night. I went through about 20 of them trying to find the one that had the right sound. I wanted the one that's got the hum to it, but underneath it's got the hum underneath, and it's got like these two tones. And I like that. And that reminded me of being a kid. And so I grew up that way. And my whole life was that way. Hey, Michael. Welcome to the program, brother.
Hey, Michael.
Michael.
Just
Michael.
sitting there. Are you frozen?
Can you hear us? He's not frozen.
Oh, am I on here now? All right. No.
Yep.
You're on here.
Can you hear me? Have you got any echo?
No echo. Can
All
you
right.
hear
I
an echo?
was going to see if I
It's all good.
echo.
We were talking earlier today. It's trying to figure
No.
out a way to call into the show and lose the echo. So,
Yeah, because that
hey,
was,
Jay here.
yeah, I forgot you was on.
Sing. No, Father, I want to sing. I don't want to be married. I want to sing. No, none of that. No, none of that. So, I don't remember what the hell I was talking about.
I was going, what was your subject tonight? I kind of dozed off here and missed part of it. I come in for the
Happiness.
after.
But Bob G says
A
that
penis.
your life will only be fulfilled if you find very big happiness. Happiness. If you have happiness inside you, then life will flourish for you.
Excuse me? You want what?
Jeff and Nate Westover, Jeff Shulkin and I, and Samantha Shulkin at the time, we all took that road trip to England, and we drove all over for 2 weeks. This was back in 2005, and we drove. This is the same year I'd met Wendy. If I'd known Wendy back then would have gotten together and would have hung out. I didn't meet her till the next year, something like that, like 18 years ago, 19 years. Wait, what's 2005? How many years ago is that? 18 years ago. And so we were tooling all around England, and we saw some shop in Glastonbury, on the outskirts of Glastonbury. And Jeff, by the way, Jeff, who knows none of this stuff, his first comment going into Glastonbury, he says, wow, this place is like a Wiccan ghetto. And I said, yeah, pretty much. But there was a sign on some place, Bababji's bed and breakfast, and it was like, come and meet with the Grand Guru Master Bababji for breakfast, and we will talk about all the very happy things of life. And so I started channeling Bababji while we're driving along the English countryside. And that became a thing, Bababji. Oh, Bababji says you must find a penis, and you must have a penis in you in order for your life to be fulfilled.
He's been up way too long, Uncle Dave.
Yeah, he has been, but he always makes me laugh with that.
Oh, that's a funny. Yeah, that makes me laugh.
There's one place I want to visit when I do get to England. It's called the Crooked House or something another. It's been there since like 1300 something other, and people still.
Did they have that in Harry Potter? The
no,
Screaming House or something? The Screaming Shack?
Oh no, this is actually
this is different.
Thank you, Steph. Steph said, "That's a sexy voice. You should do sleep meditation with that voice." All right, I want you all now to think of the things that make you happy when you sleep. Oh, not that voice?
You should fall asleep with a penis in your.
Would it make you sleep better with a penis in you? Because a penis in you will make you joyful. And when you are joyful, you, of course, can let go all the trials and the tribulations of life that is not a penis.
Yeah, gonna make me spit my
Happiness
coffee.
must dwell in you. So, yeah. And so, night sounds. So,
What is it?
happiness is Sarah Yusuf.
Deep Thoughts by Jack Andy.
That's right. Yes.
Uh,
So I am mortifyingly tired. I was trying to think of a way to make that word an adjective.
yeah, I hear ya.
So I need to
Yeah,
just because,
okay.
but it's a good tired. I gotta. The whole thing was I got good sleep last night.
I wish
I
I
went to
did.
bed
I
around
just kept
9:30
waking
or
up.
10, and I turned on the fan noise.
Yeah.
And I went to sleep. I didn't play the TV. I usually play the TV. I let like all of Tony Robinson's, Time Team archaeological shows play all night long.
Yeah.
Or ghost shows or something. And Randy's always like, just turn it down. You don't
I
have to
fell
turn it
asleep
down.
to not Russian, Roman history.
Roman history, yes.
Yeah, so they're just going through all the different emperors and everything. And someplace along the way, I fell asleep around 2:00, woke up at 3, woke up at 4, shut the TV off, woke up at 5, had to get up at 6:30. So,
well, for me,
just broken sleep.
if I
all
can
night
turn
long.
off the shows, I like that. That's the way I unwind. I unwind by turning on those shows. But if I turn the shows off and I play a little white noise, like the fan noise, or I played Native American flute. I can't even mimic it. Here you go.
I used to go to sleep with Art Bell, coast to coast every night. And
yeah, that's soothing.
Are you asleep yet? I have lulled you to sleep. I'm a damn Pied Piper on that.
Yeah, the Pied Piper.
How you doing, Sarah?
Hey guys.
What puts you to sleep?
Not
listening to your show.
It just re-traumatized me from 8th grade, where we were all forced to have
Hot
recorder
cross
lessons.
buns.
Forced to have what?
Cross buns.
Recorder lessons on the recorder.
Oh,
yeah.
recorders, yeah.
Either that or the glockenspiel.
All the school kids would carry those things around. Like, oh my god!
We're learning our.
This is actually a real. It's like a real flute. So I just don't know how to play it. Somebody said you take all your fingers, you got to cover all the holes.
Oh, it's too many holes, man.
Yeah. That's on YouTube.
I can't get it to do even a scale. Because you got to keep covering up the hole you just blew through. So it's like, it's like math.
You'll have to get lessons from Ruben.
Yes, I will. It's funny, I never had him teach me how to play flute over the years.
I think he's tried many times.
Yes, he's tried. No, Scotty, the whole finger over that hole.
No, you blow into this. Oh, just never mind.
Never mind. Here, let me just do it. Carlene had to turn her furnace up. Yeah, it's cold out here today.
Yeah.
It's been a weird day because it was super cold last night. Then it got warm during the day and melted all the snow we got. And then it's chilly again.
I want the 80 degrees back. I'm sorry. I don't need the humidity, but the 80 degrees felt pretty darn good last week.
I know we had warm. It was warm here today on the southern part of Virginia.
Yeah.
I told them the real part, not none of that. Northern Virginia.
The southern part, yeah.
Yeah, the southern part.
Southern part down near Danville.
Oh, more inland than that. We don't have to carry it down to go to the grocery store. Yeah. Danville made like the top 10 of the most violent cities in Virginia.
Seriously, really?
Yeah.
When I was in Lynchburg, we'd go 40 miles south and we would hit Roanoke.
Yeah.
And then from Roanoke, I don't remember how far it was. We drove down.
Is there anybody in Roanoke?
Danville, right across the border. In
2 hours from me. So.
What's what for you?
Roanoke.
Oh, hold on. I got to let the cat out of the room here.
North or south, Sarah?
Southwest.
So I'm about 2 hours southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah. You drive almost to the Tennessee line, then you stop and back up about.
Yeah,
15
that's like
minutes.
30 minutes away. So
Then you find me.
Well, you two are close to each other, apparently.
apparently.
Where I used to live, I was close enough I could hear the top fuel dragsters in Thunder Valley on the Spring National.
Hear that here from Cedar Lake Speedway,
Yeah,
the dirt NASCAR track, one of the only two in the country left.
yeah,
My friend owns it, and you can hear it on summer nights.
Yeah,
Cedar Lake Speedway.
that's what I'm telling. If you know where the birthplace of country music
Good
is,
night, Josh Kemp.
that's where I am.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So
Now, I always thought Roanoke was a very pretty city
Oh yeah.
when I went there.
Roanoke, Christiansburg, Blacksburg.
It's
have
pretty
Virginia
what?
Tech up there. Virginia Tech. So
Yeah, Virginia Tech. Yeah.
It seemed pretty. We went in the autumn when we lived in Lynchburg, which was 1984. And we drove down there, and it was autumn, and it was just gorgeous.
If you get the Blue Ridge Parkway and look at to the backside of the Roanoke Valley, it is absolutely gorgeous.
yeah.
Oh,
Blue Ridge
Nice.
Mountains, Appalachian Trail, Skyline Drive, all that up there.
I never did understand Skyline Drive because you can drive from Cherokee, North Carolina, all the way up to 64 in Charlottesville and never pay a dime. The quickest you cross 64 and get on Skyline, they want you to get your wallet out.
yeah.
Or stop over at Luray.
Oh yeah. Luray Caverns. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Luray Caverns, gorgeous. They used to have a safari park up there. That's where we need to take Uncle Dave. They used to have, which they got Dixie Caverns up there. They haven't renamed it by now.
Mm-hmm. And the
Nice.
Natural Bridge and all that stuff.
Natural Bridge. Right
Yeah.
down, yeah.
It's, like I said, that whole drive is just gorgeous up through there.
I just
we get
love the
spoiled.
history.
We
sorry.
get spoiled.
I just love the history out there. And that's what makes it for me.
Yeah, same here.
And I've mentioned the historical points around. Lynchburg's a historic city anyway, but Jefferson's second home is Mini Monticello. Looks just like Monticello, except smaller. And but Poplar Forest.
The poplar. Yeah, they call it the poplars. And you pay just as much to go through Mini Monticello as you do to Big Monticello.
And I've got. Is it up there? I got rocks from the kitchens in Monticello. Fell off the brickwork and stuff.
In Newmarket, they got the battlefield in Newmarket. It's called the Battle of Lost Shoes. It's the only time the cadets had ever been put in the line, like during a major battle in the Civil War. And it's from VMI. And they never broke ranks once.
That's near Lynchburg?
Yeah, Newmarket is north of Lynchburg.
I used to, when I drive twice a week up to Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area for my company out there. And I would always go through Manassas. That always made me think of the Battle of Manassas. And what else was in there? You know, we had all these clients that were in D.C., Georgetown, all of those places. But I loved Appomattox Courthouse, of course. I just mentioned the other day, is a half an hour from Lynchburg.
Yeah, it's
right up the Lynchburg Road. That's what they used to call it. Now I-29, I think it is. But Appomattox Courthouse, where the surrender took place.
I said it's full of history up through there. And you can sell a rock and it's something historical.
Pretty much, yeah.
The rock you pick up the throw is probably historical too in its own right. I was trying to think what else was it. The NRA National Museum was up next to Four Corners. Up there next, they got a big mall that we did up there. And it was all free at one time. They had the whole museum. I think they had like 8 or 9,000 firearms on display. They had like all the president's rifles that the NRA had given them over the years and stuff like that. Kennedy's 357 and all that. But if you get that way, that's most definitely worth a free stop, even if you have to pay to go in. It's just that much history on display.
Yeah, but out there, yeah.
Not to change the subject, but I
But
did
do.
have 2 questions.
Exit.
Ask away.
Ask away, right? So, since this show topic is on the subject of happiness, with this new change that you have going on with your work and
Oh
everything
yeah.
that's going on, how's that going? I mean, do you feel happier?
No.
No, he hates
No,
it.
that doesn't make me happy. What makes me happy is bringing my attitude there. It's the outcome. It's getting the paycheck. And I will probably never refer to this as a change in my career. To me, this is a blip in my career. It's something I have to do to put more money on the table. It's like I'm an artiste. I do
I know,
not
but do you
stock
feel
milk
like,
coolers.
since you have done that, that has it been affecting, other areas of your life, like with Rainey or the kids or,
Mm-mm.
how you're looking at things?
I haven't seen anything. Rainey and the kids came to see me today at the store, but of course I wasn't working
Kind
the
of too
front.
soon to tell, though, isn't it?
What? Yeah, I've only been there. This is my 3rd week there, and I'm not full time. I said I'd do full time, and I said I would do full time graveyard shift because it was $3 more per hour. I'll find out if it's worth doing it for that. My hope is, of course, that this new venture takes off as well as everybody says it's going to take off, and I can go into work next week and go, hey, thanks for the opportunity. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Thanks for training me for 3 weeks. Because I have no compunction. I would walk away from that in a heartbeat. If the other thing potentially, I'll put it this way. This is very hypothetical, very subjective. But if this thing does with the shirt company what all the indicators have said it would do,
You'd
I
call
could
in rich.
potentially make next week more money than I'd make in Quick Trip in a year. So, would I walk away from Quick Trip? Would I leave my happiness at Quick Trip? Yes, I'd leave my mark on Quick Trip.
Hell yes.
Hell yes is the answer to that. So U.S. though, has it changed anything yet? No, not really. It's fucked with my schedule. I can say that. Pardon my overtly crass French there, but it's messed with my real job. Now, what's kind of cool though, because I'm in training, I'm only part time when I'm in. For the first 90 days, I'll be part time. So I worked 6 hours today. I'll work 6 hours tomorrow, 8 to 2. Then I'm off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But then I got to work Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 2. And so, it's all right. If I had to work more hours than 6 hours, I guess my mind was already mentally prepped for it. Okay, I only got to do 6-hour shifts. That's okay. And then I get a couple days off in between. 3 days this week off in between. That's cool. I can do that. How will I feel when it goes to night shift? The overnights are 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now that's full time. And for me, I told them, you know what? And I have no pause saying this. I said, I do a radio show every night. I said, I do 1 hour on the radio and 1 hour afterwards. I said, can we compromise on that for the timing? I said, if I could come in at 10:30 instead of 10, then I can do the radio show, spend 15 minutes in the captain's cabin, the post show, and take off. And then do the captain's cabin full nights when I'm not working nights. So, we'll see how it works. Right now, it messes with my schedule a little bit, but there's been no real downside to it other than I got to go work for somebody else and punch their clock for $18 an hour. So that's sad days.
That is, we had that conversation, what was it, last night, about as you get a certain age, you look forward, like, all this experience and this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, you're talking about the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
I saw today, which, I was on the phone, I was talking to Wendy, and And she said, you look like you've calmed down a little bit because sometimes I get scared. MRI today, doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
All that anytime they put me in a tube and I think I'm gonna be launched out the other end, anxiety goes up. And I flipped the phone around. I told her, I said, look at that. That's my 14-year-old nephew. I said, that is the fourth generation that I know that has broke ground in that field.
Michelle Kenham free. I just had to say that. Go ahead, Michael.
And but when you see a legacy passed on, that's what makes me happy. I tell them I'm an old guy. You know what I'm saying? The same way we grow the molasses here, or we don't grow it, we boil that, but it's actually sorghum, a sugar cane.
Sure.
And it's and the kids get to carry on heritage farming, and that's if you can pass something down, none of us are going to be here forever.
Yep.
And if they look back and say, hey, I remember when Uncle such and such used to do this with me or whatever, I think that's what's really happening is when you see traits passed on. Like I
said, that's really important, especially to pass it on to new generations, because new generations. They was even talking about that in places like hawker centers in Singapore, that the new generations don't want to carry the same business of the family. They rather go do something
right.
I mean, it's like that sort of thing where we lose a lot of technology and how to do things and stuff. I mean, if parents were more stricter with their kids, we probably would have known how the pyramids were built by now.
Right.
More pyramids. It wouldn't be lost.
I would never want to force my kid into a family business, but on the other flip side of that, I want to build something that I can pass on to my kids if they choose to do that. I look at Abby and Bryn. They've got something going with their mermaid stuff that they could pass on to their kids someday.
Yeah.
They're already doing their own thing. I don't have to pass anything on to them.
But you've done that, Scott. You passed art on.
I have. But they did their own thing with it, which was very cool. Sam would be my older son, my 22-year-old. I would love for this business to take off to a point where I could bring him into the business and bring him in and pay him a salary that works for him, and to have him around more. Flynn would love that. I'm going to say this because it's coming up in my mind. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the radio show. Maybe to Dave I have. But Flynn, when he was little, his older sisters knew him as, every time I look at a picture of Flynn, he's doing something happy and goofy.
Yeah.
And he always had something. He was always doing something. He was the kid in the pictures. He was Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. We do the family picture and we go, everybody smile. And Flynn's like this. And then right as the camera snaps, he's like, in every friggin' picture we ever took. And he would do goofy things. He was fun and he was happy. And then Sam went through his troubles. He's 22 now. When he was 15, 16, he went through some tough times. He almost went to jail. And he had moved out of our house, went down to stay with his mom, got into trouble. And I made extra double sure I was always there for him as much as I could be from a distance. And you talk about dad guilt. My son got into trouble. Yeah, he's paying the consequences for his trouble. It's biting him in the ass. But at the same time, you see a kid who was struggling to get out of it without knowing how to do that. Because he didn't have his dad around every day. That's like, and I've talked about this before, his favorite movie was Treasure Planet, the Disney Pixar animated version in space of Treasure Island, and the Long John Silver character in there, and Jim Hawkins, and there's that scene where Jim's beating himself up over something, and Silver looks at him and he takes him by the shoulder and he says, "Now you look here, Mr. Hawkins." He says, "That weren't your fault what happened." And he says, "So don't beat yourself up over it." He says, "You've got the makings of greatness in you, boy." And he says, "And one of these days, he says, but you got to cut your own jib and hoist your own sail and, and steer in the direction you want it to go. He says, and one of these days, he says, when you've made it and you're shining like the stars, he says, I only hope I'm here to see it when it happens. And he's this little monologue to Hawkins and Sam. We watched that, and that was something to him that stuck with him, because I talked to him that way. And when we went to work together in Louisiana 2 years ago, that came on, and he wanted to watch that on cable. So we watched it, and he was just intent during that scene. He said, this, he says, is what I remember of you when I was little. And I say all that to say that, I don't know, I may have rabbit trailed too much with that, but I think where my head was going with that is that I would love to have him here. I would love to have him be somebody. Oh, and I was talking about Flynn too with this. This involves both my sons. Flynn was the happy-go-lucky in all of this, and he loved his brother Sam. And Sam absolutely loved him. Sam always played with him, always did stuff with him. He was the big brother to the little brother. And then Sam got in trouble at age 15, and which would be 7 years ago, which would make Flynn 5, 6 years old, in that range. Sam disappears. And he's no longer here. He wasn't welcome here for a while. By Rainey especially, because he had stolen from Rainey and done stuff like that. But he got his life right. And but I look at Flynn and I say, Flynn, I think, became much more sullen after Sam's disappearance. He was like, where's Sam? When's Sam coming home? Can we go see Sam? Can we do this? And after 2, 3, 4 years of that, it was like he just became quiet on it. And we went up to visit Sam once. He was in a group home north of here, about 3 hours. And I've got pictures of it. There's a picture, I think in my profile pictures or something on my Facebook, of all of us kids. And we're all standing. It looks like a pyramid. I've got Rowan on my shoulder. She's the tip of the pyramid. Rainey's right next to me. And then we had Ellery, and then Sam, and Flynn was down in the middle. Abby and Bryn weren't with us. And we're all smiling, and Flynn is looking off this way going. And he was doing that because that's the picture we took of everybody when we were leaving Sam's for the day, visiting him in the group home. He didn't want to go. He wanted to stay with Sam. And so I think there is maybe a topic all on its own that doesn't really tie in well, other than learning lessons from it in life. I had a lot of dad guilt over what happened with Sam, about not being able to be there for him. I had a lot of guilt for my son, Flynn, who I think a lot of his, and Dave, you know Flynn very well. Flynn is quiet. He's measured. He is sullen at times. And he told me tonight when I was talking to him about dishes, and I wasn't yelling at him, I was talking about character, about doing things. And he says, I said, we were talking about happiness. And he said, well, I'm never happy. And I said, Flynn, you're happy. I said, and so I'm just saying that because this is his perspective on things. I think he has been unhappy since he lost his big brother. And it's not that his big brother died. It's that his big brother was alive and he couldn't see him. And that changed Flynn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so my goal as his dad is to help him through that tough time.
Yeah.
Sam is somebody, for all the trouble he went through and all of that, he's now 22. He's 22 and a half. All he wants is to be around us. He wants to be around his little brother. He wants to be around me. He can't handle Rowan very much. Rowan drives him nuts. But that's what she's there for. Michelle Cannon-Free says he has PTSD. Flynn does. Yeah,
Yep.
probably. So,
well, I mean, it can never be as it
yeah,
was.
Randall.
But what you can do is, just make a guy's trip. You Flynn and Sam, just spend time together. I mean,
we're talking about that already.
Yeah, you should definitely do it. I mean, it's never going to be as it was, and you're not going to go backwards with it. But I mean, it's the development, the development of that relationship. They both want the relationship, so
Well,
I mean, they'll go on like a house.
And that's one of the things that made me really happy about last summer with the Renaissance festivals, because they forged their own thing out of that.
Sam came up and borrowed my costumes, which all fit him, and he looked like me in my old costumes, and then he wanted to bring Flynn along with him. So he and Flynn and Sam's girlfriend, they all went to the Renaissance Festival. We dressed Flynn up. He looked like a young prince. He was just immaculate. It was unbelievable. Old costumes. Rennie was a costumer, and she has all these old, really crazy, wild, good costumes. And she put him in this, maroon, burgundy and blue velvet, with the black tights. And he had the sword, and he just looked like a prince. And so Sam took him to the festival with him. They had a great time. They want to do it again this next year. They want me to come along. And so I won't have anything to wear. You're wearing my costumes. So, but Sam, the nice thing, when I've told this story before, but in context, 2 years ago when I went down to Louisiana, I was offered to come down and do that roofing stuff. And I said, would you have any problem if I bring my son along? No, bring him along. And so Sam came down and worked with me down there. And the reason I wanted to bring him, I had gotten off the phone with him after I'd already lined up this job. And it was the first I found out he was homeless, living in his car in North Carolina. And with a girlfriend. Thank God she's not in his life. I will say that as a dad. But so what I did, I thought what Sam needs, we need this time to get together. We need to build that happiness back up together. We've talked to each other over the years that he'd been gone and all of that, but he needs this. He needs his dad. And so I lined it up that he could come and stay with me down there. We worked together. And he could earn some money. And I drove going down to Louisiana, which is a straight shot south from me. You look at us on a map where we live, it's straight south. But I had to go all the way over to North Carolina to get Sam. And I went out there to get him because he was living in his car and not doing well at all. And so I got there. I saw him. He looked shaggy and he just didn't look good. And so I said, let's go. Let's get down to North Carolina. Let's do this. And I said, together we shall rule the galaxy as father and son. And so we went down to Louisiana. And the first thing I did, the first couple of days we were there, I said, I'm taking you to get a haircut and to look good. And we found a place called literally the Man Cave. And it had, it was very up and up business, doing haircuts and massages for men. I'm talking up and up. I'm not talking about, it was nothing loose on the edges about that place. It was a very professional place, but all the women were like hot, they cut the hair. And Sam goes, oh, I like this place. I said, I thought you might. And so we got his hair cut and his beard trimmed, and he looked so good. And he went out selling with me for 3 months down there, 4 months. And so I would love to, and I'm talking about putting up I want to do that shipping container home on some acres. He said, Dad, if you do that, now how many sons, maybe there's more than I think, but son's 22 years old. And he said to me, Dad, if you build that, if you get some acres and build that, do you think I could get a shipping container and build a 1-room shipping container on your home, on your land? And I said, of course. And I was telling the kids about that the other day, with the possibility of things maybe, knock on wood, going well. And I said, maybe we could finally get that shipping container home built. And I told them about, Sam would like to, if we bought a few acres, he would like to come up and put a shipping container home up on the acres. You can build them out of one big one, and it's like a mobile home. And all the kids here were like, yeah, we should get Sam. And Sam would love to do that. So I don't know. I got off on a long rabbit trail about that, but it's looking at the things. And I think it led from your questions, Sarah, about, what you asked me about the job. And
Well, I mean, it's all, like you said,
Oh,
rabbit
it's a
trail,
lot.
but it's all about happiness.
Yeah.
Now you have a goal.
Yeah.
And even with helping with Sam and facilitating these, trips and everything, it's not just to alleviate whatever guilt you may feel or whatever that you felt was a failure, which it wasn't, because things just happen and they happen for a reason. But as far as, it's all about, leading to, I mean, when you're a parent, you're going to worry regardless, even if they're doing well, you're still going to worry about them. That never goes away, unfortunately. But in every, as a father, I'm sure that you want to, see that your son is happy, healthy, able to survive in this world, in this cruel, cruel world. But
yes,
now I rabbit trailed.
that's okay. You can rabbit trail all you want.
But my other question was, since you were going on and on and on during the show, it seemed to me, at least from my perspective, that I think that if we're going to define what you have to define what happiness is, because from what you were talking about, I mean, I was seeing you're talking about happiness as being the same as satisfaction or bliss or having peace. I mean, they're all different
contentment,
things.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but they're all different things.
Mm-hmm.
They
are.
They're symptomatic of of something. Even happiness is a symptom.
Yeah,
and I think that I wish you had defined that a little bit better.
Because it comes with a lot of confusion too.
Yeah,
I think I left it a little amorphous because it is. It's not happiness isn't a thing in and of itself.
Yeah, it's different for.
So, I'm never happier than when I'm on a set. And I'm really in my element when I'm on a film set. And now I have this huge carrot dangling out in front of me to head west and take on a feature film. And basically the producer has said, every chair is open. Which chair do you want to sit in? Director. Which is what I want to do. Yeah. Because it comes with the biggest paycheck and I have the most control over what we're going to be doing. But we haven't had that conversation yet. I just got the production packet today. It's got all the financials and the script and everything in there. And I've gone through all the financials and now I'm going to start the script. But I have found all this anxiety in me about this because I've got 3 years of COVID with no set work and about 2 years before that. So I haven't been on a set for 5 years. And I'm, and it's, I haven't forgot how to do it, but there's just all that anxiety built up of, it's like starting all over again.
Sure.
Well, I think once you get, you're in the actual environment, it'll come back to you like riding a bike.
Yeah,
because even the industry, what it's like in essentials. I mean, on the surface they may change, this and that,
right?
And I mean,
and I've always kept one finger in the pot, so to speak. Keeping track of what's going on in the industry, what's going on with technology, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't feel completely out of the loop.
Right.
But that's one of the reasons he brought me in, is because back in the day I was functioning at a level several years ahead of where the industry was. I would say, hey, we should be doing this and this. People are like, oh, I don't want to do that. And now everything's being shot that way, and he's like, you're always ahead of the game. I want you on the team. I want you here. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'm still ahead of the game.
Well, I mean,
I
that's
think everything's caught up
to
with
you.
me.
Yeah, that's up to your own standard. Now you
Yeah.
get to go back and say, "I told you so."
Yeah.
As far as
You got the makings of greatness in you, boy.
Yeah.
and,
Speaking of
and-
that,
yeah.
I risking copyright infringement for this episode. I'm going to play that for you. That scene. It's a minute or two long. I want you to see what I'm talking about. This is that scene from Treasure Planet between Long John Silver and Jim Hawkins.
You have a
This is
clip
scene-
of that scene.
What's that?
You have
I
a
just
clip
went and
of
found it while you were talking.
Scotty and the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. He's
Yeah, interweb.
Yeah, if I'm not talking for a while, I'm doing something. It's going to start playing almost immediately. So let me bring it up in here.
All right, let's see what you got.
Hope it's loud enough.
It wasn't your fault, you know. Why, half the crew would be spinning in that black abyss if not for...
Don't you get it? I screwed up. I mean, for 2 seconds, I thought that maybe I could do something right, but... I just...
very monkey-ish. He moves like a chimp.
Just forget it. Forget it.
Oh, him?
No.
Oh, Hawkins.
Hawkins.
No.
His hands
it
stay
isn't
curled
me,
and
James Hawkins. You got the makings of greatness in you. But you gotta take the helm and charge your own course. Stick to it, no matter the squalls. And when the time comes, you get the chance to really test the cut of your sails and show what you're made of. Well, I hope I'm there, catching some of the light coming off you that day.
Are you crying or Miguel, lad?
Yeah.
That's all right, Jimbo. It's all right.
He's got a cool prosthetic arm, but he's got a wooden peg.
Now, Jim.
Yeah.
I'd best be getting about my watch. And you'd best be getting some shut-eye.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where am I? Right there.
you see a lot of the Tarzan animation type stuff.
Yeah,
I
same.
think
Yeah.
which one came first? Yeah.
Same guy.
Well, it's about that time period.
hmm
But this was
Yeah.
not done by Disney, was it?
I think it was Pixar, wasn't it?
I was going to say, I think this is before Pixar went 3D and was
This was
doing,
done by
or Amblin. Was it Amblin?
I don't know. DreamWorks. It might have been DreamWorks. Let's see. Treasure Planet
No, we'll have to watch
was done by. It was, by the way, Joseph Gordon-Levitt played Jim Hawkins' voice, and Long John Silver was Brian Murray. Emma Thompson was the captain. I'm trying to see if there's any other names we recognize. Martin Short
Wikipedia page.
was Ben. Let's see. The movie came out. It was Walt Disney. It was a
Oh.
Disney production.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the eyes look like those Tarzan eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Style.
Probably the same animators, probably, because it was around that time period.
that came out in 2002. So Sam was a year old when that came out, but he didn't. He saw it a few years later, you know. So anyway, that
But
was.
I got an idea
what
for
that
your
was.
guys' trip, Scotty. It just
What's
hit me.
that?
Take them skydiving, give them a whole new set of PTSD.
There you go.
about it.
Well, both Sam and Flynn have been really bugging me about taking them to Egypt. So
Well,
that's
there
a
you go.
big one. That's a big
Yeah.
one. We'll have to see how that pans out.
You could go to South Carolina I think towards the Myrtle Beach area, along the coast, because there's a lot of pirate stuff over there too.
Yeah,
The big
And
mental
that's
Dante.
Drive. I mean, that's doable.
that'd be fun.
It's close. I would love to see, like, if you did a painting or something with just like the three of you in like Treasure Planet garb or something. Maybe put it in the AI or something.
That'd be kind of fun.
Get it out. Just
Yeah,
the three of you.
could do that.
Yeah.
I got a big canvas over there waiting for me to paint it. It's like 4 foot tall by. It's tall and skinny. 4 foot by like 2.5 feet. So I'll have to see. I'll have to see what I can do with that. So anyway, it's 10:55. I said I was going to be on for 15 minutes in the captain's cabin. It's now been close to an hour. So I got to get out of here. So I got to go to sleep. So
all right, get yourself some sleep, lad.
I will. Sarah, nice to see you. I'm going to let
Take
you
care,
go.
guys.
As always.
You have a good night.
Good seeing you, Michael.
Good to see you, brother.
Dave, Scotty,
You have a good night. We'll talk again probably tomorrow.
say, remember, what is it?
Yes. Live long and prosper, Mike.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll see you later, brother. Uncle Dave?
Yep.
Get out of
I'm
here. I'll talk to you soon. All right. And everybody else, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking your time. Thanks for coming on board. And we went longer than I was going to go. And now I'm going to go to bed so I can get up. If I go to bed now, I could get 7 hours of sleep. So that's what I'm going to do. So you all have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'll be rested tomorrow and have another good day, even though I don't want to be there. It's fine. It'll be a good day. So bring my attitude. I'll be there, and I'll make somebody's day. You do the same tomorrow. Live long and prosper.